What's going on, guys? Teen Mechanic here. Sorry, the sun is just absolutely blinding me. I'm not going to waste any time here slowly getting into this. We're just going to get right into it. So if you missed last video, we rebuilt the carburetor. I couldn't get it running, but I actually tried for another hour to get it running, and I had the charger on, and every time I'd crank it, it would crank, and then as it sounded like it was about to start, it would be like, and it sounded like it was like catching or stopping, or it sounded, and I thought to myself, that sounds like it's hydrolocking, like a piston can't go any further. But I thought no, that can't possibly be. But sure enough, I take the carburetor back off, and in there is a lake. And I mean, it very well could be, because if it's built up in the intake like that, it's probably in all those cylinders. So I went ahead and I took all the spark plugs out. Nothing came out, but what I did, I disconnected the coil, and it's grounded just in case. I've got no spark, any gas. I've disconnected the fuel line from the fuel pump down there. Any residual gas won't come out because I've got a bolt in the inlet line to the carburetor. So everything is, or in the outlet line really, from the fuel pump. So no chance of gas, no chance of spark. So we'll see. I'm going to crank this thing up with that battery. I'm going to crank it, and we'll see if gas shoots out of the cylinders. Let's give it a shot. Also, guys, I have a fire extinguisher right nearby just to be safe, but I'm really hoping we don't need it. But let's line you up here. So let's hope that no gas shoots out of here. If it does, it'll probably spray right onto the Cadillac. So let's just hope for the best. Alright, so I didn't see any gas fly out. I think I sure as hell would have known it if it did. That, by the way, that's what bad compression sounds like. If you go to start a car, like if you're at an auction or something, you go to start a car, makes that sound like instead of a it makes a rear noise. That's because it's just the winding of the pistons. There's no actual compression happening, so that's bad compression. And if there's spark plugs in it, which in my case there isn't, then that means you've probably got either bad valve seals or a crack. Or I don't know, like that could be a bunch of different things. So pray you don't get that noise. But anyway, that's generally a bad noise, but not in this case. And in this case, I don't see any gas shooting out. Now let's see if that lake has disappeared from the intake. Okay, guys, so this here's really a best case scenario. After the noises that I've heard with this thing and the lake in the intake, that's really a best case scenario, because there's no gas shooting out of the cylinders. They're not full, and it's not there's still a lake there, which means that it's not getting sucked into the cylinders, which is really, that's exemplary. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna crank this again, because I like the noise, but secondly, just because I want to make sure that the valves are opening and closing and everything, just to make sure that if there's any chance of gas getting in there, it gets in there and out. Alright, guys, I'm going to get rid of that gas, and I'm going to put the spark plugs back in there, so I'm going to do that now. Alrighty, you can see my shadow there. Now is the time that we find out if this thing is going to start or not after rebuilding the carburetor for the second time. So I have the battery charger on it. Let's give it a shot. I'm going to move this tripod out of the way only because I need access to the fire extinguisher just in case. Okay, did you see that? You saw the backfire, I assume. That's a bad smell. Alright, so this thing's backfiring. Let me see if I can remedy that real quick. Alright, guys. We'll see if we can do this again. Let's give it another shot. Guys, we did it. It's running. It was running. It was running. Okay, oh my god, okay. So, guys, we did it. It was running. I can't believe that. Okay, hold on. Alright, guys. It was running. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to pull this thing out. So let's see what happens, because, it's probably a better idea if we pull it out anyway. Simply because, if this thing were to catch fire, God forbid, knock on wood, then at least it would be outside. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Okay. First, let's make sure it's not leaking anything. And I don't see any. It seems like it's shaking quite a bit, which is weird. I'm just so worried it would like burst into flames or something, and if that were to happen, I mean, that would be terrifying. All right, guys, I'm gonna pull this thing out. All right, guys, so actually, this is a bit of a jump here. I did pull it out yesterday. It was running fine. The same thing was happening though. If you were to back this thing back up onto the apron, you know, if you had your foot on the gas but it wasn't moving anywhere in gear, it would still backfire. I've done everything carburetor related. I've adjusted anything that's related to fuel, air mixture, you know, too much air on the fuel kind of thing. Carburetor's fine. I mean, it's a piece of crap carburetor, but still, it shouldn't be backfiring. So all I can think of is timing. Now I talked to my uncle, who's a genius with cars. I'm serious. I don't understand how he has done certain things that he has done. But anyway, he was talking to me about timing, distributor timing, and possibly that there might be some slack in the engine. Now this here, I mean, you can see I have it all apart, and this is for next video. So if you want to see all of this nonsense in the next video, which actually I haven't been filming thus far, so you won't get to see all this stuff pulled out. Now a radiator, there are two 5/16 bolts holding that on. That's incredibly easy. Most of you guys, in fact most people who have a 5.8 know how to work on them. But anyway, so I put a socket on the harmonic balancer there, and I took the distributor cap off. My uncle told me just to see if the timing chain was, you know, just one way to tell if it was stretched was to put a socket on there and take the cap off and turn it and see how much play there is, like how far you can turn it before the rotor in there starts to turn. And there was quite a bit of play in there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm taking the front of the engine off now. Yes, I know I need a balancer puller, and I'm going to rent one of those. But so far, this has been pretty easy. What I've done, first thing I did with everything in place, I just kind of felt like taking the fan off. So I undid these two. I took the clutch off. The fan was very easy to get off. Here's the clutch here, or not. It's not even a clutch because it's just I don't know what to call it. No, I guess it is a clutch. Anyway, and I took the fan and all this stuff off. I guess this is a tensioner. That's the lower or upper radiator hose, fan shroud, all that stuff. That's simple stuff. Then I took out the alternator, both belts, all the brackets. There were a lot of brackets connected to the engine. Took all that out, and also I took the alternator and AC compressor out. And now we're here. And then I took the radiator out. Condenser's still in there. By the way, there's no refrigerant in this, so that answers my question. An easy way to tell what I did is I took off the high pressure line, or off the dust cap, and I took a screwdriver and I pressed in the little what's that thing called? Not the valve, like kind of like a Schrader valve. That's what it's called. And nothing came out. It was a very slight little hiss, and then it went. Psst. That's it. So no pressure in there. There's very little Freon in there if there's any. So the guy, when I bought this thing, like for all I know, it could have. I mean, you can't really see it, but it could have 343,000 clicks on it. And the guy could have been lying to me. I don't think he was, but still, I mean, I'd like to believe he wasn't. But anyway, I mean, either way, he said, you know, he turned it on. He said, I believe it blows cold too. And I said, oh yeah, okay. So I turned it on. I was like, I don't know if that's blowing cold. And he said, oh yeah, that's blowing cold, dude. You know, stop yanking my chain, like that kind of thing. So anyway, it turns out it wasn't blowing cold. So anyway, now we're here. Not because of the AC, but anyway, I'm going to take the front of the motor apart. So if you guys are interested to see that, I'm really actually I'm regretful that I didn't film all this stuff coming out. But, you know, I mean, it came out, and it was pretty easy to do, actually. This was less than an hour of work to get this far, so that is pretty good. And you guys got to let me know what this is. I assume that's an air compressor, but I don't know. So, anyway, I'm going to get out of here today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If there's any wind noise, sorry about that. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. But let me know in the comment section below how I can improve, and let me know what you want to see, and let me know if I'm going crazy. Oh, boy. Aside from that, I'm going to get out of here. I've got a lot of work ahead of me. So, yeah, stay tuned for sure. Bye-bye.